Welcome to this video about the penetration testing planning phase. After watching this video, you will be able to explain the pen testing planning phase, define the rules of engagement for a pen test. In the previous lesson, we learned that penetration testing is initiated in 5 phases: planning, discovery, attack, verification, and reporting. The planning phase is the first step of pen testing. It allows businesses and organizations to maximize the benefits of identifying and mitigating vulnerabilities in their computer systems and networks. The planning phase is defined by pen test scope and rules of engagement. Pen test scope delineates the areas and systems that will be tested, while the rules of engagement define the protocols and methodologies that will be followed to safeguard against any potential disruptions during the testing process. Let's go a bit deeper into the planning process. Pen testing activities should be well-defined and include information about specific targets, systems, applications, and environments to be tested. This ensures focused assessment and avoids unintended disruptions. The pen test scope determines the extent to which your assets will be evaluated. It is crucial to define the scope carefully to ensure that all critical systems and applications are included. The scope consists of 5 elements: scope specification, resource allocation, risk assessment, communication plan, legal and compliance considerations. Specifying the scope includes identifying which systems will be examined, the testing schedule, and the methodologies that the testers will employ. This step ensures that everyone involved has a clear understanding of the boundaries and limitations of the test. It also helps in avoiding any unintended disruptions to business operations. The scope should be specific enough to guide the testers, but flexible enough to adapt to any unforeseen circumstances that may arise during the test. Proper resource allocation is crucial for the success of a penetration test. This involves assigning internal and external personnel with the requisite ability to conduct the test. Additionally, deciding the necessary tools and software ensures that testers have the means to identify and exploit potential vulnerabilities effectively. Resource allocation also includes budgeting for any incidental costs during the test. Identifying potential risks associated with the test is another vital component of the planning phase. This step involves evaluating the possible adverse effects of a penetration test on the system's performance and overall business operations. You can minimize disruptions and promptly address any identified vulnerabilities by developing mitigation strategies. A clear communication plan is essential for maintaining transparency and coordination throughout the penetration test. This includes setting up regular update meetings, defining communication channels, and naming points of contact. A well-structured communication plan ensures that all stakeholders stay informed about the test progress and any immediate findings that require attention. Finally, addressing legal and compliance considerations is fundamental to the planning phase. This involves obtaining the necessary permissions and clearances to conduct the test and ensure compliance with relevant regulations and standards. Adhering to legal requirements protects the organization from potential liabilities and upholds the penetration test's integrity and credibility. The rules of engagement define the boundaries and limitations of a pen test, outlining what actions are allowed and prohibited. Establishing clear rules of engagement is vital to ensure transparency and prevent misunderstandings between testers and the organization. By setting clear expectations, organizations can ensure that the pen testers operate within legal and ethical boundaries. The rules of engagement have 8 components: scope definition, testing methods, timing and duration, authorized personnel, communication protocols, legal and ethical considerations, incident response plan, post-testing procedures. Scope definition clearly defines which systems, networks, applications, and assets are included in the pen test. This includes identifying critical infrastructure that requires thorough testing and any systems that are out of scope to avoid unintended disruptions. Testing methods specify the methodologies and tools used during the testing process. This can include techniques such as vulnerability scanning, social engineering, exploitation, and any custom scripts or tools the testers can use. Timing and duration establish a clear timeline for the pen test, including start and end dates and specific testing windows if necessary. This helps align the testing activities with the organization's operational schedules to minimize business disruptions. Authorized personnel identify the individuals permitted to conduct the pen test, detailing their roles and responsibilities. This ensures that only qualified and trusted personnel are involved, reducing the risk of unauthorized actions. Communication protocols define the communication channels and reporting frequency between the pen testers and the organization. Regular updates and a final report on findings and recommendations are essential for maintaining transparency and facilitating prompt remediation of identified vulnerabilities. Legal and ethical considerations ensure that all testing activities comply with relevant legal and regulatory requirements. The considerations outline the ethical guidelines that testers must adhere to, protecting the organization's data and ensuring privacy throughout the testing process. Incident Response Plan establishes protocols for managing incidents that may arise during the pen test. This includes steps for containment, mitigation, and notification to appropriate stakeholders to ensure issues are promptly addressed without escalating into more significant problems. Post-testing procedures outline the steps to be taken once the pen test is completed, including the debriefing sessions, data analysis, and implementation of remediation measures based on the findings. This ensures that the pen test results in actionable improvements to the organization's security posture. Clear rules of engagement are vital in the pen testing process for multiple reasons. First, they minimize potential conflicts and misunderstandings between the organization and the pen testers. Second, well-defined rules promote a collaborative and constructive approach toward enhancing an organization's security posture. Finally, having clear rules of engagement helps protect the organization from any unintended disruptions or damages during the testing process. Specifying the scope, timing, and authorized actors ensures the pen test is controlled and secure. In this video, you learn that the planning phase is defined by the pen test scope and rules of engagement. The pen test scope delineates the areas and systems that will be tested, while the rules of engagement define the protocols and methodologies that will be followed to safeguard against any potential disruptions during the testing process. Pen test scope comprises 5 elements: scope specification, resource allocation, risk assessment communication plan, and legal and compliance considerations. The rules of engagement have 8 components: scope definition, testing methods, timing and duration, authorized personnel, communication protocols, legal and ethical considerations, incident response plan, and post-testing procedures.